What's up, fam? It's Calla from Recalibrate, back with episode 12 of the Lightin Up Podcast. On today's episode, we have my friend, my life coach, my trainer at the gym, Katie Rapkoch, whose message is primarily, I'm paraphrasing here, but sit your ass down and rest. So we actually recorded this episode in a bed, so you might want to get cozy for this one because we're going to be talking about taking a rest from grind culture, taking a rest from boss babe culture, taking a rest from the opinions of other people, taking a rest even from self-development itself. So I'm really excited to share this episode with you guys. There's a ton of awesome information in this episode just about personal development, resting, loving yourself, meditation, and all sorts of things. So I really think that everyone's going to get something out of this episode. And like I said, I'm just really excited to share it with you. So thank you so much to Katie for coming on and taking the time. I have so much love for Katie. She has helped me in so many ways. I wouldn't be doing the things I'm doing right now if it weren't for Katie's help. I launched this podcast while I was working with Katie. I started a group because of Katie, the Awaken from the Matrix support group, and so much more. So I'm just so grateful for Katie, and she's an awesome resource. Definitely check her out on Instagram. I'll put her information down in the comments below. And as always, just remember with this episode and every other episode on this podcast that nothing here constitutes legal advice, medical advice, counseling advice, professional advice, or any sort of advice. This podcast is really just for entertainment purposes only, informational purposes perhaps, but should never be construed as any sort of advice. Always consult with the proper professional, but primarily your intuition, because you know what's best for you, you know what's best for your body, and like I always say, you are your best guru, teacher, lawyer, doctor, all of the above. So with that being said, I'm really excited to get into this one. There were some dog action in the episode, so you will hear a little bit of that. At one point we did have to take a pause just because the dogs were they just wanted a lot of love at that exact moment. So I actually think it's really endearing. This episode is going to be extra endearing if you catch it on YouTube where you can see the video. And it was a really fun one to record. So thank you to all of you for tuning in. This is almost 3 months of podcast episodes. Episode 13 will be 3 months. And on that episode, I think I'm going to just come back on as myself and keep it real with you guys. So I'm really excited to share that with you. I want to thank all of you for being with me on this journey. It means the world to me to have your support. And with that all being said, let's grab a candle, some sage, Palo Santo, maybe sacred smoke, hop your ass in bed, and let's lighten up together. What's up, fam? It's Calla from Recalibrate here with my friend and life coach, Katie Rapkoch. And before we get into it, let's just take a moment to take 3 deep breaths together and center into this moment and be present together. So let's breathe in through our nose together and let it out. Again, in through our nose. And let it out. Last one, the deepest breath you've taken all day. And let it out. As I light this candle, I just want to call upon Katie's highest self, my highest self, all of you listening, the highest versions of ourselves, and ask that we can open our hearts and our minds and communicate clearly and listen clearly to the messages and just ground more light and love and peace into this planet. And yeah, let there be light.
Let there.
We brought the dogs in with that prayer.
Dogs are light, so that makes total sense.
Katie loves dogs, so it makes sense that the dogs would join us on this.
Just a little bit.
So as I said a little bit, Katie is my life coach, but she's also my friend, my gym trainer, a fellow dog lover.
Yes.
Would you tell us a little bit about yourself? I guess I might have said it all, but...
That's most of it. So yeah, Kala reached out to me. We've been working together a little bit on her business, but also kind of like, if you want my elevator pitch, I basically help ambitious women learn to slow the hell down and also simplify their lives so they can stop feeling so overwhelmed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she does a great job of that. That's why we decided actually to record this podcast in the bed.
We're chilling. We're chilling. We're wearing jean shorts, but we're chilling.
Yeah, we didn't get the pajama memo, but we are big chilling here. And that's one of the things that I love the most about your message is in today's society, everywhere we see like grind culture, hustle culture, boss babe culture, work, work, work. And when I saw your work, you were like, hey,
let's chill the fuck out.
Let's all chill.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I took your group, Katie does like group coaching, one-on-one coaching, and I participated in the group that we did, and one of the main focuses that really like you would challenge people often to see is, well, could you love yourself now despite, and I think that, I don't know, could you speak a little bit on...
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I can talk about that for days. One of the biggest things that I see when I coach clients is, obviously I'm here to help people set goals and help people accomplish goals, but so many times people set goals and they decide that once they finally meet that goal, that's when they can love themselves, that's when they can feel happy, that's when they can take time to rest and relax and enjoy their life. And at the end of the day, they're putting off their happiness. They're putting off their peace. They're waiting until they reach some arbitrary goal to love themselves and to appreciate themselves and to acknowledge themselves. And so I love to kind of turn that around and ask my clients, well, what would your life look like if you just loved yourself now? If you stopped waiting and you just did it now? And it's been a pretty eye-opening experience for myself to decide to love myself now.
Yeah.
But then for a lot of my clients as well.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like we get so caught up in when this happens, when that happens, we're gonna love ourselves. And it's not about like not having goals.
Yeah.
And it's not about just taking naps and resting.
Yeah.
It's about finding peace in the journey.
Absolutely. And you hit that on the head too. When we talk about rest, it's not just taking naps. I have a lot of people who will talk about rest and they'll say, but I don't have time to rest. I don't have to take a nap in the middle of the day, things like that. And what it's really more about is like resting from all of the pressures that society has put on us. As women, resting from the need to, look a certain way, act a certain way, especially for women, kind of dampen our power. There's unfortunately, so many messages that are telling us how to live and who to be. And so my main message is to tell people to rest from that, from living into those messages anymore. And naps, I take naps, I love them. But it's more about resting your mental, emotional, and spiritual body than it is about resting your physical body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not saying don't take naps.
Dude, they're awesome. Like, we're here in bed right now. So get in bed, be in bed, enjoy it.
Yeah, listen to this podcast in bed.
Totally. Oh, we should have said that at the beginning.
We should.
If you're not in bed, go get in bed right now and
I'll add
enjoy
it in the intro.
Yes.
But, resting from, like, really, I often think back, like, if you think back to all these reasons that you're doing things, or if you really look at it, you're like, wait, why do I even feel that way? Like, who even is it? And when I left being a lawyer and started, doing my own thing, I had to learn, like, even just now I'm still learning, like, my life is kind of like a vacation. So it's like finding the balance between rest and like not feeling guilty that I don't have a 9-to-5 job, and not feeling guilty that that's not how I chose to live my life,
Totally. Yeah.
And like, being okay with.
Well, and we've been conditioned to believe that a 9-to-5 job is the way that you're supposed to live. The way you should live. I tell so many of my clients, like, stop shoulding on yourself, because we have been told, like, the way you should live is you graduate high school, you go to college, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, white picket fence, et cetera, et cetera. That's been called the American dream for so long. So obviously, so many of us are bought into it. And at the end of the day, it can be, I'm going to play fetch. We got a lot of stuff going on in here.
We got a lot of stuff going on.
But at the end of the day, it can be really, really overwhelming. Again, especially for women, and I'm not saying that men don't experience these things too, because they definitely do, but especially for women, it can be so overwhelming to feel like you have to check off all of these boxes on your list, and then you have to live a daily life where you have to do dishes and do laundry and go to the gym and go to work and get 8 hours of sleep. It's just so overwhelming. But we don't
look good while doing it.
And look good while doing it. Yes,
like, and be sexy.
Yeah, totally. You're not wrong at all. And so at the end of the day, it really comes down to deciding: is that the life I actually want to live? Right. Like you were saying when you were introed us, my highest self, or I like to use my truest self, my most authentic self. Is that the life that I really want to live? Your experience is very similar to mine. I worked in physical therapy for 7 years, and I was burnt all the way out. I was so exhausted, and I left my job. I had no other job. I was unemployed, and I figured it out. It was long, and it was really scary. But sometimes we do have to take really big, scary steps to find out who we really are.
Yeah. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5 either. Like, the whole beauty of everything is, like, just doing what feels good for you. So, like, when we say take a rest from, people's opinions, it means, like, ours too.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yes. 1,000%.
Ultimately, when we rest from all of everything inundating us all of the time, we can get to that true self, and we can figure out, like, what we want to do or what feels good to us, and then from there, it is sometimes doing the scary thing or trusting the process. And then that's where you come in too, and just say, like, love yourself through the process, and even though your goals may not be accomplished, you can still rest. And one of the things you taught me was, like, rest until you feel inspired. Like, maybe there is something to be said about, like, doing the work when the spirit moves you to do the work.
Well, I mean, there's actual science and studies that have proven, especially for children, that creativity is at its peak when we are resting, and we actually integrate information more effectively after we've studied something, done some work, and then rested. So a lot of people will go from like, I'm doing this course, right, on how to be a better coach or whatever that might be, and then they want to jump right into it. But oftentimes it's really important to just sit with the information, let it integrate, and then go into what you're doing. And then same thing, when we're talking creativity, coaches, healers, gurus, like anyone that's in this space, if you want to be your most creative self, you're not going to do it by forcing your work. You're going to do it by sitting back and letting the work come to you.
Yeah. And you talked about that on your story. I know,
there she goes. We got a belly up puppy in here. If you guys needed the picture, we got a belly up puppy, and I'm here for it.
I know, it's all coming full circle. But one of the things you just posted on your story the other day too that I really resonated with, or you might have made a reel actually, but it was like, I'm taking a rest from self-development. Oh my God, it's like never ending. And that's the whole thing, is like, it's never fucking ending. Like, you're always gonna want more than what you have. That's human nature. And like, so to take a rest from this, like, like, all right, so what if I never do the thing? Like, am I just never gonna love myself then? Like, am I just never...
I mean, if you put love to the very end of doing the thing, yeah. Exactly. If you put the love or feeling proud of yourself all the way to the end of the accomplishment, yeah, you will live that way. But if you have decided to unattach yourself from external things, if you're able to say, I am love without anything else, I just am, that's what I am, then you can choose to love yourself whenever you want.
Exactly.
It's not easy. Again, I never, when I share these things, I don't share them to be flippant or to just say, just love yourself, like it's the easiest thing you could ever do, and you're wrong if you don't love yourself. It is such a process, and here's the thing is, just the process of learning to love yourself can be a grind. Like you were mentioning, personal development can be a grind. And here's the thing, we don't have to be better every day. Yeah. They tell us that, 10% better every day. Isn't that what so many people have said, right? Or 1% better. I don't remember.
Like 2%.
2%. Whatever the percentage is, here's permission to have days where you're 0% better. And you're just being, and you're just a human.
Or even days where you're 2% worse.
Totally. You're absolutely right. Absolutely.
There's been plenty of things I thought I fucking healed, and then it comes around again, and I'm like, oh, well, shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's really when when I say love myself, it's like almost like just be okay with, like, fuck it with yourself. Like, just like, all right, so what? You know, like, maybe it's not like, because it makes me think of, and I know you've kind of gone through this too, is like my skin. For the longest time, and even still now, I had skin issues, and you know, for the longest time, people were like, you need to love yourself, and like tell yourself I love you. And Louise Hay says for acne, you're supposed to say I love and approve of myself. And so I would look in the mirror and say I love and approve of myself, I love and approve of myself. But like, I was lying.
Yeah.
And I could feel how it was. There's a dog crying again.
They call to me. The dogs call to me. You guys, there's like 8 dogs in here right now. I'm lying, there's 2, but it feels like 8.
There's a third somewhere around here.
Lay down, Peanut.
Okay. But I realized like I couldn't love myself and say like, oh, I love my skin. And it wasn't like that. It was like I could just look at my skin and be like, all right, like this is where we're at. And I remember someone sent me a quote one time, and it was like, music doesn't sound better with clear skin. And I was like, damn, like, and so I kind of just had this moment where I was like, what am I going to do? Just be bitter and angry my whole life at my skin? Or am I just going to accept that my skin's not perfect?
Exactly.
And I may not love it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't love it.
Yeah.
So I don't have to lie and be like, I love myself, I love it. But I can just say, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to choose to be happy and go about my life despite.
Yeah. And I think the same thing goes, you know, that's very kind of keyed into this movement of body neutrality, right? Yeah. Like, I am a body. That's what I am. No good, no bad, no better, no worse. You know, just recognizing that we are bodies and we are human. And as human, we are inherently significant and we are inherently enough. And again, it kind of goes back to the overarching, you know, societal pressures that tell us, you know, you're only enough if you do X, Y, Z. But really, I mean, honestly, for me, my journey, like you were mentioning, has been less about loving myself and more about just being like, I'm me and this is it. And some days I love myself and some days I don't love myself. And acceptance and being okay that this growth, you know, this forward movement or even kind of, you know, lateral movement is all part of the process. It's part of the journey, and it's totally okay. And
even like neutrality is kind of like the sweet spot, because with everything, like, and they, you know, they show that like emotional range thing and it's neutrality, but like just with everything too, like, okay, I can just be neutral about myself in my personal development, in my growth, in my goals, like, and I can still want these things, but it's like you just take away the emotional charge and you're just like, and I think it was like, it was I almost said Alex Jones, not that sort of podcast here right now. Aubrey Marcus and Porangi, I think it was, talked about on their podcast, like, just saying when something happens, like, so what?
Totally. I totally agree, 1,000%.
Like, and if you can just, like, you can say so what about anything. Oh, we got a mic.
We're good. I think we're good. Mic down, but we're good.
If there was some hustling, it was, you know, whatever, it was just the mic. But, yeah, just saying so what about it all.
I agree. Absolutely. I love that approach. And again, it can be viewed as, I don't know, when you think about, I hate to use this term because I don't want to like hurt anybody's feelings, but like tryhards, right? Like everybody remembers that kid in gym class that like just tried really, really, really hard. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, if that's how you choose to live, that's totally fine. But the so what mentality can look lazy to people who are considered tryhards. But then, you know, there is kind of that dynamic going on. But I also want people to recognize that if you're fearing that you're being lazy, you're probably not being lazy at all. And if you're fearing when you're resting that I'm being lazy or there's so much that I should get done or I have this and this to do, you're not really resting. And so then rest is lost on you if you're not really soaking it in and enjoying it.
So how do you get your, because I do that all the time, especially now being like self-employed, like there's always something I should be doing, and like there's always more I could do, and I find myself doing that a lot where I'm like thinking about all the things I need to do, and I'm like, I'm not even fucking chilling because I'm feeling so guilty the whole time. So how do you work through those?
For me, one of the big things that I like to do is to be very intentional with my rest. So when I take rest, I make it like it's part of my schedule. And I will say this, I'm very, very fortunate in that I don't work a 40-hour-a-week job. I work, and I definitely kind of am going here and there, but I don't work a traditional 40-hour-a-week job. But one of the biggest things that I tell people is you don't have to rest for an hour. You don't have to take a nap for an hour. You can rest for 5 minutes, you know? And so when you find yourself needing that rest, allow it. And so a couple things I like to do. I actually... I have not turned on the stereo in my car for over a year. When I'm driving, that's a really good time for me to rest. And this part of rest is basically like I like to get rid of all the external noise. So no opinions, no songs, no podcasts, nothing like that. I just like to be, so I can integrate information, I can process things, and then it's easier to let them go. That's a really good way that I like to rest. Another thing that I love to do, again, 5-10 minutes, I put a timer on my phone, I lay in my bed, and I stare at the ceiling. And I literally will like make shapes in the drywall, and I'll just let my mind kind of do its thing. And so when we struggle to rest and when we feel guilty when we rest, maybe start a little smaller. And that's for anyone, right? You don't have to rest for an hour. You don't have to rest for 2 hours. You don't have to rest for 20 minutes. Rest for 5 minutes. And then you can slowly start to build up if that's something you want to do. Yeah. And so that's what I would say to start with for anyone who is feeling guilty when they rest. Give yourself 5 minutes.
Yeah, to just like do nothing. Not even like checking your phone, because I feel like it's not... Yeah, checking your phone, we think that's resting, but it often ends up leaving us feeling drained, more depleted, more tired, more drained.
Totally drained. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's a nasty habit, and it's something that can be broken slowly, and I am definitely not one to be like, I'm the best and I'm never on my phone. I'm on my phone a lot. Yeah. I will totally admit that. But just to say, like, yeah, when you're going to choose to rest intentionally, choose to rest intentionally. Right. If you're someone who maybe has struggles with racing thoughts, maybe you put on, some white noise or like a guided meditation. Exactly. If you're someone that can sit in the silence, honestly, that is one thing that I tell literally every single one of my clients. And the other reason I think silence is so beneficial, not only for rest and rejuvenation, but if we think about like, if the volume on your life is cranked up to 11 out of 10 every single day, and you're struggling to find out who you are, like, you can't hear your gut, you can't hear your intuition, you can't hear all of those voices, you know this, I know this, that start out at a whisper, and then they'll gradually build up, and at some point they'll become a scream. But why not meet them at the whisper?
I love this too, because it's like meditating, but I think that we often think of meditating as like this another thing to do, and like to be good at, and like we have a goal when we need to meditate, like I need to reach enlightenment, or I need to get a message, or I need to whatever. And so like it ultimately actually keeps you farther from the thing that you're seeking.
Exactly.
But like I love your perspective, because really it is like, even meditating at the root of it is just shutting the fuck up.
It's just being.
And like not having the things on, and like then we're, you know, like there's facts about how we used to absorb like, you know, 25 pieces of information a day, and now it's up to like thousands, like
millions probably.
So like to just take 5 minutes and just rest. And it's not meditating.
No.
But it is.
Don't tell them that. Don't tell them that. Well, and you made such a good point, because I have so many people that I've worked with that they will say, I can't meditate. I'm putting that in air quotes for anyone that's listening.
I've been one of those people.
I can't meditate. A, first of all, that means you should. But B, I think the reason people think they can't meditate is because, again, they think that meditation should look like something.
Sitting like this
on your little pillow, you know, crowning your head up, you know, like your third eye is like lighting up,
a literal light from your third eye.
That's not it could be meditation, but it also doesn't have to be. Meditating can literally just you be, right? And something else that I like to tell people is, also, meditating isn't about clearing your mind. Right. Because none of us will ever clear our mind. Meditating is not attaching judgment to the things you're thinking about when you're sitting there in your being. So same thing with resting. Same thing if you want to lay on your back and stare at the ceiling. It's not about, oh, I wish I could like wipe my brain completely clean. Unfortunately, we can't do that. But it's about allowing our thoughts to come and go without attaching any sort of judgment or worry or pain or anything like that. And so actually, I think it loops a lot back into kind of the idea of neutrality, right? Meeting our thoughts with this level of neutrality and just being able to say, you know what, like I fucked up that conversation. So what?
So what?
Right? So what?
So what?
Yeah.
And it is true. Like, I remember not that long ago, I was on the beach and I was sitting there meditating. Really, I was just laying my ass down. Like, my ass does not meditate sitting up. Like, I'm like, okay, let's lay down and see what's there. And I was like observing how my mind had something to fucking say about everything. And like, even when I wanted to shut up, it was like still my mind, and I just like laughed and like could see how it was like not me, because we can't, like, the fact that we can step back from our thoughts and see them shows us that like what are our thoughts, like, are they ours? Because I've heard also someone say, like, you don't know what your next thought is going to be.
I mean, those thoughts, those initial thoughts, when you're in silence or when you're in the car and you're like pissed off at someone who cut you off in traffic, like, those thoughts are your ego, right? Those thoughts are all of those layers that you have developed or have been laid on top of you for the 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 years that you've been alive. And so your initial thoughts are the ego. And so it's up to us, like you were saying, to be able to step back and acknowledge and say, that's my ego, right? Whatever that is, that ego that's saying I need to lose 10 pounds, or that ego that's saying I'm not going fast enough in my business, or I'm not making enough money, that's ego. And ego's a motherfucker. And again, it's not something that it's like, oh, I have no ego. I mean, that would be the ego saying that, right? But at the end of the day, again, it's us being able to step back and say, I see you, ego. And not, I don't like you, not I'm mad at you, not thanks for fucking up my life. Acknowledging your ego. Yeah. Having compassion for your ego.
And maybe you do have to get mad first and be, you know, and then you can just be...
Yeah. Or maybe the opposite. Or maybe you have compassion first and then you can get mad. I mean, everyone's journey is different, you know, but I think, again, it goes back to, like, having compassion and love for ourselves no matter where we are, right? You might have just fucked someone over really bad, but if you sit there and you sulk on it and you just kill yourself because of it, nothing good is going to come out of it. But if you meet yourself with compassion and accountability, then you can step into it and you can acknowledge, okay, you know, what was I doing there? What was my ego? What was my spirit in that at all? Was my soul in that at all? Or was it an ego response? And so just really being able to like take a bird's eye view on your own thoughts, unattach, and just say, I see them. Yeah. And kind of lay them out like a deck of cards.
Yeah. I think in Buddhist teachings they call it like the second arrow, where you know you get hit with one arrow and then the second arrow is all of the like anger and fear and all of the thoughts that come afterward that like hit you twice as bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What was I gonna we were talking about, what did I want to say? Something about what made me think about like, so how do you find compassion for yourself? Because I think back to, like, I hope this isn't too personal, but I'm going to share it anyway. We had, like, an interaction at the gym where we had to have, like, a challenging conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that in that moment when we had that challenging conversation, I was so blown away by your ability to, like, be accountable and, like, step up and apologize for what had happened. And then it was nothing major, guys. It was just like a little miscommunication type thing. But you like owned that shit and walked in with like such a heart warrior presence and like I just found so much more love for you through that. But also like you seem to have like also held love for yourself in that. And like, so how do you deal with, because we all know all the fucked up shit we do, right? Like, totally. It's hard. Sometimes it's hardest to love ourselves because we know every bad thought we've thought, every fucked up thing we've ever done. Like, so how can we still love ourselves, you know? And like, so I just threw like so many different things at you.
No. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the biggest question to ask is like, what other choice do we have? Yeah. Like, what do? You know, in that situation specifically, you know, how would it have served you or I if I was like, I'm a piece of shit, I'm the worst person ever, you know, I hurt your feelings? Like, it wouldn't have served any of us because I would have stepped into victim mentality, you know? I would have stepped into victimhood, and really I wasn't the victim. I messed up. You know, there was miscommunication.
He's like,
everyone's okay.
It's fine.
I messed up and there was miscommunication, and so at the end of the day, like, the only way we move forward and then build an awesome friendship and an awesome relationship is by me owning up to it.
And it was just like the most, like, a lot of people can't do that. And it is really, and I myself too have been called out before, and like I go to that place where I want to be defensive and like, you know, you might have felt that too, but like just to witness you step in and be like, damn, like, I'm so sorry I miscommunicated that, like, I love you. I don't even remember what you said. It was like so whatever, but I just immediately I was like, I love her. She's the best. Like, it just showed like you really embody what you preach, and like you know, like, it's just beautiful to witness how we came from that place. And then since then, like, I did your group coaching. I hired you as a coach. Now we're like hanging out. We're on a podcast
together.
Like, it's just beautiful to show. Like, I think it's just remembering too that like we're all imperfect. Like, we all fuck up. Like, I've done so many awful things.
Yeah, but you're not the only one.
But I'm not the only one, and so it's like, and I think about it, like, I would never go to you and be like, oh, Katie, you're fucking awful. Like, I can't believe you fucking did that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so why would we talk to ourselves that way?
Absolutely. Totally. I mean, you know, and again, I will be honest, in order to get to that place that I was in, you know, it's taken a lot of work. Working with a coach, I've gone to therapy, you know, like, I've been in and out of therapy for over a decade probably. And so, you know, allowing myself to have outside perspectives and be open to outside perspectives, but also like trusting people. You know, trusting people when they say you're an amazing person and you should love yourself, and
We got
another
a big
dog on the bed. Another dog on the bed. I love him though. He's got a big old head. He's like, I'm like moving over.
Katie anymore.
Hi. So I think one way that I got here was actually really trusting people when they told me I was a good person. Believing that. I have had people be thoroughly impressed with the fact that I take compliments and I take them. I don't like justify anything. I don't discount them.
You don't say, "Oh, but you."
I don't. Or I say, "Oh, but yeah, oh, but you," or "Oh, but I don't," or this or whatever. It's just like I take compliments. I allow people to lift me up, and when I allow other people to lift me up and support me, I can lift other people up and support them, and I can lift myself up and support myself. And so it's taken a lot of humility, but at the end of the day, again, like, what other choice do I have?
I love that about listening to other people, because one of my life coaches that I worked with was like, I was going through like a lot of self-doubt and stuff and not loving myself, and I had all these perceptions of myself, and she was like, Calla, go ask the 5 people closest to you to give you 5 words to describe you, and I guarantee none of them are going to call you a bitch. Like, I guarantee none of them. And so I did it. I went to 5 people that knew me, and I was like, tell me, can you tell me? And it was because, like, like, we don't always tell people all the wonderful things we think about them.
Right. You're right.
And so it's hard to know how other people see us.
Buddy.
Come here, Bubba.
This pup wants us to tell him wonderful things. You're
We
wonderful.
love you.
We do love you.
You're so beautiful. Thank you for being on this bed with us.
So
Thank you
handsome.
for hanging out. You're so handsome.
Come here. Come over here.
This is going to be like the dog version of this episode and the last episode. Well, I don't know what order they'll release, but they're all the dogs. The dog episodes.
All the puppers. They know, man. They know.
But, hey, you're going to hurt the microphone. Okay. What do you want? I think I'm going to pause it for a second.
Yeah.
All right, we kicked all the dogs out.
We wanted to snuggle just the 2 of us.
We love the dogs, but they needed too much reassurance right at this exact moment.
We had boundaries. We set boundaries. That was it. We set boundaries.
They did not ask us if we had the space right now.
Yes.
But I think we were just talking about, like, I just loved what you said about letting other people lift you up and just believing them.
Totally.
And it's okay to ask, like, I've done that before, even on Instagram. Like, I've been like, listen, I don't know what value I provide y'all. So, like, can you tell me?
Absolutely.
And just hearing that, it further empowers me to be more of myself.
Totally. So. And I think there's a couple things that come out of that. Again, as we've kind of transitioned, society is always transitioning, but as we've started to transition and females have been starting to kind of take their power back and take kind of a lead in a lot of their own lives, there's kind of this common misconception that basically says, like, you should never need anybody else but yourself, right? Like, you should never need anybody's validation. And while I do honor that, right. We are human, and it is innate in us to want to be accepted. That's a survival mechanism. And so
it's also like, I feel like initially up front for me, like, I was coming from a deficit. So, like,
very true.
For me, it was helpful to, like, hear what other people thought of me so that I could get to, like, level and be like, all right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, I got this.
That you make a great point. But and so really, like, to sum up, at the end of the day, it is also okay if you need validation.
Yeah.
And this is probably one of my favorite things to talk about with people. It is okay to ask for what you need.
Yeah.
I would argue to say that explicit communication is one of the most powerful things in relationships, because nobody can read between the lines. Right. I don't care who says that they can. No, and especially men cannot read between the lines. No. Sorry, guys. I also can't read. Actually, I choose not to read between lines. But people don't know how to read between the lines because people are caught up in their own lives. So if you need something from someone, ask them for it. And so if that is, I need a little like validation on our relationship, or I need a little bit of, to understand like, what am I giving to my clients? What do they love about me? You can ask for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's okay. And you're right. Like, I guess the true neutrality or self-love would be not needing that validation. But the whole point of everything is like, there's no wrong or right answer.
Exactly.
And no one knows what the fuck they're doing.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Like, every book, every podcast, everything is just someone's opinion.
Yep.
And we're all the same energy experiencing this human experience. So, like, what you go through and what I go through and everyone goes through is going to be different, and it's going to create a lens that is specific and unique to you.
Every person.
And,
every single person. And I think we, something that maybe it's important for us to tell ourselves, kind of going back to when we were talking about intuition, is like, we have all of these opinions, all of these books, everything that's out there, they're not gospel. Even the gospel isn't gospel. You know what I mean? Like, nothing is gospel. You hold your gospel within you. Right. So I tell that to my clients, and I say it in my group all the time. Like, when I offer up information or opinions, I make sure they're clear and they know that that's what it is. Right. But then I also want to remind all of you guys, the things that you hear from a coach or a healer or a guru or anyone is simply that. It's based on that person's experience. And so one thing to think about is that if you're asking advice of someone, or you're doing you're doing a training or whatever, or if someone is offering you advice, ask yourself if the shoes that they're in are the shoes that you want to be in, right? Because if you're asking advice from your parents, I think about my parents. My dad is very pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And so, no offense, Dad, I don't ask my dad for advice because I don't want to pull myself up from my bootstraps anymore. I did it for a really long time. And so when you are asking for advice or being heard by others, make sure it's people that you can trust and people who, you want to live a life like theirs, or you want to be around them. Just kind of like an aside to what we were saying with validation.
It makes me feel inspired to transition this, because that's one of the reasons that that is the reason that I hired you as a coach, and I told you when we did like the conference or the consultation call, I was like, listen, like, I want to do what you're doing.
Yeah, totally.
So if that intimidates you, or like, because I think sometimes people, they don't want, I knew you were not going to be intimidated by it, because... But
I know what you're saying in terms of other people. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes people are intimidated by the fact that you want to do what they're doing, and they're like, well, this is my thing, but... And we talked about how everyone, if we all did the exact same thing tomorrow, like, it would still be... It
would be totally different.
Yeah. Like, if you started a podcast in bed...
Which I might. Yeah. Be on the lookout, guys. Be on the lookout.
Katie's bed podcast, that would be fire, dude. I really want to be on it.
I seriously am probably going to make it happen. So, there's that.
But it's going to be totally different. So, like, I'm not threatened by you starting a podcast, but... it's beautiful, but that's just one aside to the point I was making too about, like, you embody a lot of the principles that I really value. Like, you're doing the damn thing that I want to do. You have, like, accessible offerings for all people. You see a lot of things the way I see them. Like, I was just like, Katie is doing what I want to do in a way that I want to do it, where she has, like, a sliding scale of offerings. I know you're heart-centered, and, like, you're not, like, nothing against, like, boss babe grind culture, but, like, I don't want to work hard.
Yeah, me neither. We've talked about this before. If I didn't have to work another day in my life, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I have bills to pay, and so I'm gonna make an income that can basically serve me, pay my bills, allow me some, little space to go on some trips and have some fun. But at the end of the day, like, I don't need an excess. I'm enough right now as I am, and I'm totally happy with where I am in my life.
Yeah, and that doesn't make you less of a coach or less of a person because you're not motivated to be on a yacht or
Well, no. I would argue to say it probably makes me maybe, well, whatever, I'm just going to say it. I would argue to say that makes me a better coach because I'm not doing it for the money.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm doing it because, like, I want people to understand that there's another way to do life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I loved your coaching, and like it means a lot to me too, because like healing is for everyone. And like, you know, while I think investing in yourself and working with coaches and all of that is important, you know, like if that's what you're called to do, like I do think you can get a lot from coaches. But like I've never had a coach tell me anything that I didn't already somehow kind of know. You know, they've helped me with breakthroughs and they hold space for me to do it. But like, to me, like if I'm paying $5,000 for a weekend retreat, like, bitch.
Yeah. I know.
Like, I better walk away with like a business plan and sponsors and shit. Like,
well, and I will say at the end of the day that you are your greatest coach.
Yeah.
And I am my greatest coach. And so hiring a coach is important. So, you know, if there are blind spots or things that you're missing, or maybe your ego is coming into play and it won't allow you to access those spaces, your coach can come in and hold space for you to do that. But at the end of the day, like, everything that you need is in you. Every question that you have, the answers are within you. But again, we have to slow down enough to hear them. And if we're not resting and we're always grinding and we're sitting there and we're just wondering, why the hell am I so unhappy? Slow down enough, the answers are there.
Yeah. Well, and the beautiful thing was, we talked about how I was like, you know, you're just like, it was like you just held space for me to be accountable to look at these things, and then you offered like a different perspective or insights in that time. But like, and we talked about this too, like I was like, you know, I have people hitting me up and I was like, I don't want to tell them like, oh, I offer coaching because I'm not more knowledgeable or special than them. And you were like, well, Kala, do you think I'm more knowledgeable or special than you?
Yeah. It's not about being more anything. It's just about having a different perspective.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not about, I hate the idea of more. I hate the idea of less. They're there, and those are their labels and their objective measurements. But the thing about objective measurements is they miss a lot, because being human is subjective.
Yeah.
Being human is not an objective thing. Maybe how much you weigh, but again, the subjective feeling that you get from that, it's all subjective. And so I do struggle sometimes seeing coaches out there when they're like, I'm going to help you make this money and do this thing, and like they have these objectives. And for a really long time, I was like, I'll never be a coach because I don't do those things for people. Yeah. I focus on feelings. I've had people tell me my coaching is kind of like a cross between therapy and coaching, because honestly, I think I'm going to use a metaphor here, but I think what happens to a lot of people in their personal development or their growth or whatever that is it's very similar to like you're out at sea and you have a rope tethered to your waist, and the rope can only go so far, and so you can only go so far into the ocean of your personal growth before the rope becomes taut. And so you can stay where you are and be safe because you've got a rope attached to you, and that's awesome. Or you have to turn back and you have to look at all the things behind you, and you have to look at all the layers and all of the expectations that have been put on you and all the pressures that have been put on you. You have to go back into all of those things. You have to cut the rope, but you have to be courageous enough to do it. And so that's what I say when I say I'm like a cross between coaching and therapy, because we do go back a lot and we do look at limiting beliefs, and we look at but not just limiting beliefs in that sense, more limiting beliefs in like we've talked about this before, like this idea of abundance, right? Like people think that abundance is making 10, 20, 30K a month, but the true abundance is just like chilling and being here, and like I got my little house and I got my dog and I got my stuff, and like that's enough. So changing the narrative around some of what these spiritual cultures and some of these coaching cultures, what they've brought in, changing the narrative around those things.
Right. And I mean, just offering people a different way to do it. And like, if you're going to be bringing in 10 to 30 G's a month, like, you're gonna be working your ass off.
Fuck yeah.
That's gonna be hard. Like,
Well,
you're gonna have to hire people, and then you're gonna have to trust people, and then it's like more risk, more money, I don't know, more work. And you know, it's okay to not want, like, I'm like you, like, I want to chill. I'd love to have some like group coaching, some one-on-one coaching, like help people through their shit, offer a different perspective, and then chill.
That's it. And then fucking chill. And then, like, I'm a big, you know, Cal said I love dogs. I volunteer at the animal shelter. It's one of my favorite things to do. Like, I just don't want to run all day, every day. No. I don't want to do it. And here's the thing. If you want to run, that's okay. But I would ask you, before you make that decision, to sit down with yourself and nobody else and ask yourself the motivations behind it.
Yeah.
Right? Just like us. Like, we have had to sit with ourselves and ask us, like, why don't I want to run? For me, for a long time, I was like, oh, it's because I'm lazy. But it's not. It's because I'm satisfied with where I'm at. And satisfactory, like on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe that's a 5. Totally fine with being another 5. I'm fine with just being satisfied. It makes me happy.
And it's redefining everything, really. Just getting back to, why do I want this? Is this mine, or is it society?
Yes.
Like, is society telling me I care about all of this?
Yep.
Or do I really care about it? And then, you know, it's also like, yeah, sure, I would love 10 G's a month or 30 G's a month. Like, yeah, I want that, but do I want all of the things that come with it? Because it's not just like 30 G's are just going to magically pop in my bank account.
Yeah. And do I want to do what it takes to get there? And if you don't, that doesn't make you less than as a human being.
Right.
It just doesn't.
No.
And that goes back to kind of like the 9 to 5 thing. If you want to work a 9 to 5 because it's stable and you get benefits, you know, like, this kind of goes into like this whole entrepreneur culture. This is a whole new wave of things as well. Yeah. And so many people think they're inadequate if they're not a fucking entrepreneur, like coming up with a new app or a coaching business or whatever. Yeah. If you want to work a 9 to 5 because it's stable, because it provides for you and for your family, fuck yes, do it and do it well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everyone has to choose their own path, and like, that's just the beauty of it. And like, for me, it's like, I'm just showing up and sharing in the way that I feel inspired, and I know you are too. Totally. But by no means are we saying like, this is the way to do it.
No.
It's just that we're doing it differently. So I'm sharing that to empower you to do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you take what you need and you leave what you don't. That's it.
Snaps to that, because that's with everything. You're never going to agree 100% with
anyone. Yeah, absolutely.
Dang, well, I feel like we touched on it. Rest.
Little grind culture.
Little
coaching,
yeah.
A little bit of everything. I love it.
Yeah, and we could definitely, you know, if something stood out to you in the conversation, I always would love to hear, like, what parts you guys loved, because we could always do another...
Oh, hell yeah.
Another bed episode.
I'd be so down. I'll have you in my bed. I got a down comforter. Yes. Like, it's a king size. Like, that shit is comfy. And I sleep well, you guys. And Champ. Champ will just lay there. He'll chill.
These dogs don't know. They're like, who are you? Are you famous? I want to be right by you all the time.
Champ's like, this bitch again? All right.
Well, before we would get out of here, I would love if you would pull a card for the beings. This is the Moonology deck.
Do I need to shuffle?
You can do whatever you want.
Just whatever feels good?
Yeah, I like to shuffle, but if you don't want to shuffle and you just want to open up to one...
No, let's shuffle.
There's a book in here, so you're shuffling the book.
I'm gonna watch me pull the book. There, I found it. Watch me pull the book. Oh, that one feels real good.
Yes.
Let's go with that one.
You read it.
The answers you need are coming. Isn't that what we've been saying, right? You guys, like, if you're struggling and you feel like you're lost and you don't know where you are, like, the answers are coming. They're there. Slow down. Give them space to show up in your life.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, just fucking sit down.
So sit your ass down. Everybody, if you're standing right now, sit your ass down.
Wherever you are, just sit. And just like shut off the noise. And even the guided meditations, all that shit, and just, you don't even have to shut your eyes, like, just stare.
Fuck yeah, that's my
stare
favorite.
At the wall.
It feels so good.
Yeah.
It feels so good. Mm-hmm.
Remember when we were kids and we would just, like, have a good stare and someone would go in front of you?
Yes. Yes.
Do people even do that anymore? Because they're just at their phones.
On their phones all the time. Go lay in the grass and fucking look at the sky, man. It is beautiful out there.
It is beautiful out there.
Soak it in, and the answers, they'll be there.
Yeah, they're not even coming. They're already there.
Yeah.
And they're inside of you. You don't need us. You don't need anyone. I mean, we can be a nice reflection of ultimately the truth that already exists within you.
Yep. But other than that, like, you got it. You got it, babes.
Yeah. So let's tell everyone where they can find you on the internet.
On the webs. My Instagram is my name, Katie Rapkoch. The last name, Katie, K-A-T-I-E-R-A-P-K-O-C-H. So I can understand, well, everyone calls me Rapkoch, but it is Rapkoch. It's Polish. That's pretty much it. I'm working on my website. I'm redoing my website right now. I do have some group coaching coming up in October. Very excited about that. But
hopefully this will launch by then.
And if it doesn't, next October I'll probably have more group coaching.
Find her on Instagram.
Find me on Instagram for all the updates, all the good shit, all the shit that makes you say, like, what the fuck? Yeah, you're right.
Dude, she posts really fire content. She's always like making cool graphics with like helpful information and videos, reels, and she's published an elephant journal.
I am. 2 times.
Nice. Yay. Well, thank you so much, Katie. I had so much fun
Thank
talking
you.
with
This was amazing. I have a feeling we'll be doing this again.
Yes, me
Definitely.
too. All right. Thanks, guys.
Love y'all.
What's up, fam? It's me again, and before we get out of here, I just want to thank you guys so much again for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the reviews that you leave on this podcast. Thank you for your comments on YouTube. Thank you for all of the engagement on Instagram. I'm so grateful for the connections that I have with all of you, and even if I don't always respond immediately or ever to some comments, I just want you to know that I read them all and they mean the world to me. So you guys really are the fuel to my fire that keeps me going in this crazy time of life, and I just want you all to know that I'm always here to support you. So thank you for reaching out and trusting me and for taking your time to listen to what I have to say. It's really humbling to know that people give a fuck about what I'm doing out here. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your engagement. If you haven't already, please head over to YouTube and subscribe to my channel. That's the first time I've ever said that. And find me on Instagram at Recalibrate. Please leave a comment for this podcast, a review. Share it with your friends and family. All of that means so much to me, and I appreciate you guys and your support so much. So I love you dearly. I hope you can carry this light with you through the remainder of your weeks, your days, and spread the light throughout the whole world. I love you. Mwah.
Still hazy, funk past J's, and face of blunt ashtrays and skate with punk kids. I still chase the sun bad days, I'm lacing up half cabs and shake John spliffs. Whatever happened to rap, it should rest in peace to Mac, and I'm here to raise it from the dead. Cause drugs ain't cool, kid, plug you with that new shit, turn water to wine and break bread. And if I said this all the future, would you trust I told the truth, or would you run away and tell my whole fan base? Cause sooner or later, kid, they'll take your human nature and they'll burn you at the stakes while the band plays. So, in the last words, better speak up now. I said, why do birds sing? What's a king without a crown? They all stood in silence while they listened to the sound of a madman reason with the demons he found. You can't lock up ideas, we don't even exist. I just live through the speakers and the beats that we kick. Is this forbidden fruit from the garden of Eden? Is it freedom of speech, or am I speaking for freedom?